It is with great sorrow that I make this video, but I haven't really got a choice. I've just got back from Texas, and despite a very sour bite to end the meal, I've had a truly amazing time. I spoke at the Faithless Forum, fired some guns, threw axes, and even rode my first mechanical bull. But the highlight for me, outside of meeting many outstandingly wonderful people, was being a guest at the atheist community of Austin. You see, my interest in atheism and skepticism began by watching YouTube clips of Matt, Tracy, Don, Jen, Russell and Jeff wielding logic that was, at the time, far beyond my understanding. And so when I was featured as a guest on the Atheist Experience and was literally sat next to the Matt Dillahunty as we achieved the greatest all-time live viewership in the history of the show, I felt incredibly humbled. I literally fulfilled a dream. The community that taught me that free thinking is a virtue and that I ought to question everything, no matter how emotionally attached I am, just featured little old me, Stephen Woodford, as a guest. Honestly, it was one of the best days of my life. But once I left the ACA's warm hospitality to fly back to England, their board of directors released a public statement denouncing me as transphobic and heavily implied that I'm opposed to the LGBT+ community, which, as anyone who's watched a handful of my videos will tell you, is slanderous hogwash. I've defended the LGBT+ community countless times throughout my short career, and whenever a religion or anyone denigrates them, I point it out and I crush it where it stands. I mean, I even have a video in which I explain precisely why homosexuality is natural, and I frequently emphasise, while many won't, the fact that there's a significant amount of Muslims that harbour harmful anti-LGBT+ views that desperately need to be addressed. Now, to be as clear as I possibly can, I know that I made a few big mistakes within my recent video on transgender athletes, and as I've stated publicly, I'm working on a video in which I express my altered views and apologise for what I got wrong. But that's the thing, I was wrong on some things, not transphobic. I have no issue whatsoever with transgender people, and I have and will continue to try and foster an environment that accepts them for who they are, and anyone who's paying attention knows this. However, I also believe that there are difficult issues that need to be discussed, and I firmly believe that those who are labelling anyone who recognise these issues as transphobic are being counterproductive. Anyhow, yesterday, the ACA and its productions published a statement from their board of directors in which they accused me of making transphobic videos, despite the fact that I've only made one video, and they claim that I've published numerous transphobic statements on my social media platforms, though they neglected to provide any examples because, to put it bluntly, there isn't any. Not one, zero. Indeed, an organisation that prides itself on free thought and substantiating their views exercised neither of these values when they denounced me. Now evidently, some of the ACA's staff and members felt it was necessary to distance the ACA from me because they either didn't agree with my views or they found me and my views to be abhorrent. And while I understand that the ACA had to make its position clear, they could have done this so easily without throwing me under a bus. They could have simply said, "We recognise that there has been some controversy surrounding Stephen Woodford's position on transgender athletes, and we would like to make clear that the guests who appear on our show do not reflect the thoughts and opinions of the ACA. We understand that his views have changed, and we are eagerly awaiting his next response." That, or something like that, would have been far more professional than making unsubstantiated accusations. But no, the ACA responded with a full denouncement of me and expressed regret for all the, quote, pain and anguish they've caused by allowing me to guest host some of their shows. And so, the ACA, by being reactionary, uncharitable and unskeptical, put me in the same category as actual transphobes, and I honestly believe that vilifying one of their supporters hurts the trans community far more than my honest mistakes. Which, again, I've made clear I'm going to fix. What's more, the ACA's following statements off. We would like to make it clear that we do not share or condone his opinions or attitudes, and that we fully and actively support equal rights for the LGBTQIA+ community. And we love the trans community and are deeply distressed to have caused anyone harm, is, to me, incredibly offensive, because it heavily implies that I'm against the LGBT+ community, which is demonstrably not true. This whole ordeal saddens me so deeply, and for many reasons. I don't just feel like the ACA has abandoned me, I feel like the ACA has abandoned itself. This reactionary and unreasonable denouncement of me has crushed me. I feel like I've been used and that I've been thrown under a bus immediately after appearing on record-breaking shows for the sake of appeasing a few hypersensitive individuals. Now, with this said, I want to make something crystal clear. I know for a matter of fact that there are many people within the ACA that do not agree with the board's statement, and so please do not vent your frustration at the ACA's public figures, as they're not responsible for the board's statement and they do not necessarily endorse it. Honestly, I wish the best for the ACA, because they are a refuge and cornerstone of reason for countless people in Austin and indeed the rest of the world. My hope, however, is that this event causes serious reflection among their board of directors, because I think this all ends in one of two ways. Either Rationality will again take the helm, and in which case the ACA will once again embody the values that made it so famous and respected. Or Irrationality will remain in control, and in which case the ACA will go the way of many other skeptical communities. That is, they will denounce anyone who doesn't share their views, no matter how respectfully they convey them, as a heretic, which will eventually cause irreparable damage to their community. I sincerely, with all of my heart, hope that it's the former. If any of you want to help, then please email the ACA and let them know your thoughts. But please be sure not to demonize them in the same way that they've demonized me, because most at the ACA are truly wonderful people who have done an insurmountable amount for atheists. Messaging them in any way other than in a charitable, kind, calm and respectful manner will only do more harm than good. And no matter what the outcome of this is, I want to thank you all so much for your support, especially considering how large and influential the ACA is. It honestly means a great deal to me and it's truly encouraging. As I said earlier, I'll shortly be publishing a video in which I acknowledge my mistakes, a lesson, by the way, that I learnt from the old ACA. And here's me hoping that the current ACA can do the same.